Y'all ready for this?
This week's theme in yoga is about how a tidy home, workplace, garage, loft, bedroom, etc. is a recipe for a tidy mind. What is the psychological impact, if you like, on mess and clutter, which triggers worry in your mind and triggers you to feel like you ought to be tidying it up, sorting it out, decluttering it, and is the antithesis of a calm and peaceful, relaxed state of being. We all know that psychologically we feel far calmer when everything is sorted out. It's just like getting into clean sheets. For one thing, not only is it the most delicious feeling, there's also the sense that it's done, one less thing to do, that sense of satisfaction that it's handled. We feel light, we feel free. All of this thinking about tidiness and decluttering has come about because I read Marie Kondo's book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, many moons ago, and it did help me a great deal. But very recently she has made a video series that has been on Netflix and demonstrates how she seriously helps families who are in distress because they've got too much stuff. A couple of things stand out to me in those programs. Firstly, how incredibly humble Marie Kondo is. She takes time to listen to the house, which seems a strange concept, but there's a sense in which, in her quiet meditation at the beginning of her working with clients, she is presencing the essence of the house. And to me, that's the reason why they chose to live in that home. It's a sign of great respect for that choice of theirs and for the family themselves. And it encourages them to feel and show great gratitude, not only to the home, but to all the things that they possess. And that's very much the case for me. I was very grateful to my little bungalow, which was suitable for an 80-year-old when I first moved into it, because to be honest, I felt like an 80-year-old. I was a very ill person. Having done a lot of work on myself to regain health, I'm now living in a bungalow that has often seemed to me not quite right in my new state of health. And gradually, I've begun to lose respect and gratitude for my home. So watching these programs put me in a far better state to be grateful for the roof over my head and to see how it's helped me to gain my health and is a safe and lovely place to live, particularly where it is. So I believe that increasing my tidiness and reorganising things has also increased my mindfulness. Every day I get feedback on those areas I've revisited and decluttered. A great sense of pleasure comes over to me every time I open my makeup drawer and I can, within 1 second, put my finger on any item of makeup. And it's like that with every drawer. So I'm no longer wasting a ton of time being very annoyed that I can't find something. It's interesting to me because my cluttered friends tell me they just haven't got time to tidy up. To me, I haven't got time not to tidy up because it takes so long to find things, and I've spent a great deal of my life searching and rummaging through to get hold of something that could have been found within seconds had everything had its place, as Marie Kondo suggests. What she talks about is holding on to items and seeing if they spark joy. It's a very strange ideology when you first come across it, but actually, if you sharpen your instincts, all items do speak to you. You do know instinctively if something's going to be lovely to handle, to look at and to use in the future, or if it's just going to be an annoying clutter that you've got to root around and get past to find the thing that you really want. The reason why it's such a mental health boost to tidy up is that this sparking of joy is actually increasing happiness. It means you're only left with things in your home that make you feel good when you look at them. We all know that things outside the mind can't make you happy. And to a certain degree, anyone into mindfulness is also into not holding a lot of clutter in order to make themselves happy. But actually having things in order has a lovely feedback loop to it. It also makes you realise, if you go through her processes of getting everything out the cupboard or out of the wardrobe in order to sort them, that you own far more stuff than you need. Sometimes we all turn to shopping for a bit of comfort, and we end up, especially in our cultural ideology, where more stuff equals more happiness. With far too much clutter, always onto the next thing and the better thing and the more exciting technology and so forth, ending up with a load of not so exciting technology still in our home. But if we tip everything out and we get fully present to the thousands of items of clothing, for instance, that we own, we realise that we really shouldn't be shopping anymore, because we've got enough clothes to wear if there was 800 days in a year, let alone 365. So it's quite a good cure, really, for shopaholism. Of course, it's also naturally a cure for feeling ashamed of your home and always having to worry that somebody might turn up to visit you and you're not going to be ready for them. But a little bit more subtly than this, I've also found that doing a second round of decluttering, with this new inspiration I got from her films, there's a sense that I'm caring for myself, that whilst I may not exactly enjoy the process of sorting, and it's very hard to keep up the energy for it all the way throughout the clutter time, I do love the feeling of being so tidy and organised and knowing where absolutely everything is. So it feels like self-care in the end. It feels like me time. And I feel so much more relaxed with a job well done. I notice that the resistance to tidying up can quite often be a person, including myself, being right about some sort of character defect. In my case, I endlessly think that I've got too much on in my life and I can't say no to any of it. Well, if I have a slightly messy and disorganised home, this just proves me right. I'm far too busy, and all around me is a little thing winking at me saying, you can't quite cope. When I've decluttered and organised, actually winking at me all the time is the idea that I perfectly can cope, that everything's in its place, everything is tidy and organised, and I'm on top of things. So I can no longer exist in that story that I'm far too busy. I notice other friends who are living in a permanent state of rebellion against growing up. And being untidy is part of saying, sticking their finger up at their upbringing in which they were endlessly told off for having to be tidy, and now they can live how they want. So there must be other reasons as well. There will be other reasons why we cling on to the idea that we have to resist being tidy and clean. The whole process with Marie Kondo is quite a slow one, in which you acknowledge that she is so mindful in the process, to the point where she actually shows gratitude for every item that is kept and every item that is thrown away. It is said by other philosophers that holding on to things is very bad for our bowel energy, and it's useful on this level to get rid of waste, to let go of stuff, not holding on to things unnecessarily. Although she has no rules, of course, about what that means for the individual. We all decide. And that was the second thing that really jumped out at me. She was incredibly respectful of people's choices. It was their choice. There's no rule about all white things are wonderful or only 2 drawers for socks. If you love socks and you have thousands of pairs, keep them all if they spark joy in you. The point is, it's a negotiation. And I think that's a wonderful thing if you're in a partnership or you live with other people, that you can behave as a role model with your tidying up without having to be controlling. And the two of you in shared areas can work as a team to negotiate and be fair to each other about what's kept and what's not. So here are my top tips for tidying as a yoga teacher. Firstly, there are daily habits that you need to put in place in order for your home to remain tidy after you've done the big declutter. For instance, I always want to say hello to my doggies when I come back, so I put my things down in the porch, come into the home, say hello to the doggies, pop the kettle on, and then straight away, immediately, if I want to keep my home tidy, put my bags, all the content of my bags away. You do need time for the big declutter, so it's important to set aside a weekend or an evening together to do it. Don't think it's going to take no time at all. But of course, what does take no time at all is the business of dumping things. For instance, putting dirty cups next to the dishwasher. Instead, keep things in your hand and think, do I want to find this here again? Put it straight into the dishwasher or wash it straight up so that you're not going to have to handle it twice. That goes the same with paperwork. It comes through the door, put it straight into your scanner, photograph it, delete it, get rid of it. Don't have it in a drawer in a pile. Never have things stacked one on top of the other because you can't see them. Always have them on their ends so that you can view the whole, say, of your knicker drawer or your tops drawer at the same time. Have a skill swap with a friend. Maybe she or he is good at decluttering and you can do something else for them. It's much more fun when there's 2 of you. But if you are on your own, you can always make it jolly by listening to music, by listening to a really good podcast, or maybe by having a glass of wine while you do it. Make sure you tackle this at a high energy time, for instance in the morning if you're a morning person. It's very difficult to keep up the mental effort for several hours. So you need to do it at a time where you're likely to be able to keep that energy high. If you are doing something that means running in and out of the house from the garage, set your smartwatch so you can see how many calories you use as an extra boost. See if you can inspire yourself by buying some new cleaning equipment. When I tidied out my makeup drawer, I got a nice new mirror and a nice new light stand out of it. Couldn't quite believe that I've lived in the house for 9 years and only had the tiniest broken makeup mirror that was set up in a dark area and I couldn't see properly. Fancy putting up with that for 9 years. I found great delight in going round IKEA, where you can get hold of a little stash of boxes which you can write on, and you can put stickers on and have good fun with it. So it's useful to have a nice neat place in your house where you can stash storage boxes, so at any time, especially if they're stored flat, you could build them up and use them when you need them. Most important thing is, don't get neurotic about it. Do it when it feels good. There's no need to reward yourself with anything but the absolute pleasure that you get out of seeing the work done, and really enjoy it.